What's up everyone, and welcome back to the Bold and the Beautiful 24 official channel. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button today. Let's get started. Kelly returns without Steffy. Ridge and Taylor's impact on homecoming. Given that the Bold and the Beautiful has revealed that Kelly Spencer will be returning without Steffy Forrester, the following is a look at how her homecoming will affect Taylor Hayes and Ridge Forrester. In some new scenes at the Forrester mansion, Sophia Parras will reprise her role as Kelly. Kelly will interrupt Taylor and Ridge there for a brief moment so that they can focus on their granddaughter. Fans of B&B will recall Steffy's request to Liam Spencer to allow her to bring Kelly with her when she left town. Kelly has been traveling with her mother and Hayes Finnegan because John Finnegan has also mentioned how much he misses Steffy and the children. However, Kelly will come home early, so there could be a few reasons for that. This could be Kelly getting ready to go back to school, or it could just be her desire to spend more time with Liam after his medical ordeal. Of course, there could be another plot-related reason, especially considering Kelly's upcoming scenes with Ridge and Taylor. Since Jacqueline McInnes Wood is on maternity leave, Steffy isn't around for parent-trapping purposes. Although Steffy would normally be there to cheer on Taylor's relationship with Ridge and push them together, Kelly may have to take the lead now. Once Kelly is back in the mix, it's easy to imagine some grandparent trapping instead. Kelly might express how pleased she is with the reunion of her grandparents. Perhaps Kelly could gush over the upcoming wedding and how much she wants to be a flower girl. It would be simple to make Ridge feel even more guilty about his feelings for Brooke Logan and to stop him from ending things with Taylor. Kelly might be a factor in Ridge's delay in blowing up the family reunion because he will, in fact, remain with Taylor for some time longer. Whatever the case, it's always a treat to see Kelly, so stay tuned for updates on her return and any exciting news it'll bring. According to the Bold and the Beautiful, in the upcoming episodes, Ridge will have a romance disaster on his hands, and Kelly's return is probably only going to make it worse. Is Nick Marone out of his mind? The Bold and the Beautiful, the you-know-what is hitting the fan in Naples. Captain Nick Marone and Ridge Forrester will keep fighting for Brooke Logan. But soap viewers are having a tough time getting invested in the love triangle, seeing as how Nick Marone has been gone for over a decade. Is Captain Nick's big proposal and over-the-top romantic gesture really that believable? Even though Brooke Logan is wonderful, what has rekindled his interest in her? Spoilers for next week's episode of the CBS soap are below. Is Nick Marone's obsession romantic or cringeworthy? With good reason, fans of the Bold and the Beautiful are beginning to doubt Captain Nick Marone's mental state. The big return of Jack Wagner has been exactly that, and he arrived in Los Angeles like he had never left. However, the fact of the matter is that he did leave, and Brooke Logan and his other ex-girlfriends have moved on without him. In point of fact, when was the most recent time his name was even mentioned? The Logan women clearly haven't been losing any sleep over Captain Marone being MIA for 10+ years. However, it is anticipated that Nick's ardent admiration for Brooke Logan and plans to return to sweep her off her feet persisted throughout his absence. Romances by Nick Marone. If you actually watched the CBS soap when Nick was a regular, you know that he was also in love with Bridget Forrester, Katie Logan, Donna Logan, and even Taylor Hayes, Brooke's rival. Hence, why is Brooke Logan the target of his intense pursuit? Are you having a hard time getting on board with Captain Marone and Brooke Logan's epic romance? Do you still have any faith in a bridge reunion? It was one of those unusually tranquil afternoons at the Forrester mansion, the type that feels too serene for a house that has endured decades of emotional upheavals, champagne celebrations, tearful reconciliations, and confrontations that resonate in the hallways long after the doors have closed. Taylor Hayes was seated on the sofa, an open book resting in her lap that she was not genuinely reading, her thoughts wandering somewhere between the warmth of nostalgia and the sting of uncertainty. As Ridge Forrester paced nearby, his brow knitted, his phone in hand, yet for once not texting or calling anyone, merely holding it, as if the burden of the device mirrored the weight in his chest, they found themselves in this limbo, this strangely suspended moment, where their renewed relationship felt both delicate and oddly robust at the same time. But before either could remark on the peculiar sense of tranquility or the underlying tension, the sound of the front door clicking open disrupted everything, and in walked Sophia Parras, reprising her role as little Kelly Spencer, her bright eyes scanning the familiar surroundings and an excited, "Grandma! Grandpa!" escaping her lips before she even closed the door, her small backpack slipping from her shoulder to the floor as she rushed into Taylor's welcoming embrace. It was unexpected as Kelly had been traveling with her mother, Steffy Forrester, and baby Hayes while Steffy was away from Los Angeles, and everyone had presumed she wouldn't return until Steffy did, but here she was, all smiles, with no sign of her mother. And Taylor's heart swelled even as Ridge blinked in astonishment. Steffy had sought Liam Spencer's permission to take Kelly with her when she left town, and he had consented. However, this early return suggested something else. Perhaps school was about to commence, and Kelly needed to readjust to her routine. It could also be that she wished to spend additional time with Liam following his recent health crisis, or maybe, as often orchestrated by the soap gods, it was something much more intricate. Finn had previously expressed how much he longed for his wife and children, making this separation between mother and daughter less than ideal. Yet, for the moment, it was simply Kelly back in her rightful place. As she animatedly recounted her trip, detailing the places she had visited and the small souvenirs tucked in her backpack, Taylor and Ridge exchanged a knowing glance. They both recognized that her presence, her innocence, and her genuine affection could alter the emotional atmosphere between them, particularly in Steffy's absence. Steffy was typically the one who encouraged Taylor and Ridge to come together as a couple. Without her here to play matchmaker for her parents, Kelly might unwittingly assume that role. Her innocent remarks about how lovely it was to see Grandma and Grandpa together planting ideas in Ridge's mind. These thoughts could complicate his increasingly persistent desire to confess his feelings for Brooke Logan to Taylor. Indeed, as Kelly nestled between them on the couch, sharing her travel journal with Taylor while Ridge listened, it almost felt as if they were a cohesive family once more. It was easy to envision Kelly innocently expressing her wish to be the flower girl if her grandparents were to marry a vision so sweet and pure that Ridge, burdened by guilt over the kiss he had shared with Brooke in Italy after rescuing her, might hesitate to disrupt it. Brooke, naturally, lingered as a shadow over the entire scene. The woman Ridge could never fully forget, the one whose allure was irresistible even when he attempted to resist, and her name hung unspoken in the air between him and Taylor as Kelly continued her chatter. The reality was, Ridge was still clinging to Taylor partly because it felt appropriate in the moment and partly because disrupting this newly formed family seemed cruel, particularly in light of Steffi's absence. However, within his heart, a tempest was brewing, complicated further by a storm from the past, Captain Nick Marone. Meanwhile, across town in Naples, chaos was already unfolding as Nick confronted Ridge over Brooke once more, a love triangle that felt strangely outdated yet somehow volatile in the manner only soap opera love triangles can be. Nick, portrayed with the same familiar bravado by Jack Wagner, had been absent for over a decade, and many viewers had long since relegated him to the past storyline archive. Yet here he was, suddenly reappearing, suddenly fixated on Brooke, and ready to sweep her off her feet as if no time had elapsed. While some fans relished the nostalgia, others questioned whether this was truly believable or merely a recycled romantic gesture masquerading as something grand. Nick's proposal to Brooke, complete with an extravagant romantic arrangement, seemed less like the action of a man who had been quietly loving her all these years and more like the maneuver of someone unable to resist a dramatic bid for attention. Ridge was aware of this, which only heightened his own precarious situation. After all, if Brooke chose to entertain Nick's advances, Ridge might find himself reacting out of jealousy rather than genuine understanding of his own emotions. In the meantime, Taylor would be present, unknowingly caught in the crossfire. To further complicate matters, Kelly's return signified more opportunities for Ridge and Taylor to be seen together, to share those domestic moments that resemble a prelude to forever, and the little girl's delight at witnessing their unity could serve as a subtle but a powerful force was preventing Ridge from making a clean break. Taylor, on her part, felt conflicted. Part of her wanted to believe that this was their moment, that after all the years of back and forth, Ridge was genuinely choosing her. However, another part of her, the part that had experienced pain before, questioned whether there was another shoe waiting to drop. She knew from experience that Brooke Logan was typically the one holding it. As Kelly skipped off to the kitchen in search of cookies, Ridge sat next to Taylor, their knees touching, and he attempted to concentrate on the moment, on the present, on the warmth of family rather than the allure of what-ifs. Yet, the burden of his unspoken truth grew heavier with each passing second. Meanwhile, Nick's presence in town was already igniting more than just Ridge's anger. Old alliances, old grudges, and the complicated history of the Logan, Forrester, and Marone entanglements were being unearthed. Even though it had been years since anyone had regularly mentioned his name, Nick returned to Los Angeles as if he had never left, confident that Brooke's heart still had room for him despite everything that had transpired during his absence. The Logan sisters, for their part, were not exactly supporting his cause. Katie, Donna, and the rest of the family had moved on, and the fact that Brooke's name was now being associated with two men from her past simultaneously was more draining than romantic for some viewers. Still, in the realm of the bold and the beautiful, love is never tidy, never straightforward. As Kelly's laughter echoed from the kitchen, Taylor couldn't help but envision a future where her granddaughter's desire for a happy, united family became a reality, a vision that, despite its fragility, felt intoxicating in its potential, even as the foundations beneath it threatened to crumble under the weight of secrets, past loves, and the return of a man who might just plunge everything into chaos once more.